All right, everyone. Some of Donald Trump's fans are saying, "Oh, give him the Nobel Peace Prize for his work on, making peace in the Korean Peninsula." And then other people are, "No, no, he doesn't deserve it. It's Kim Jong Un and President Moon and maybe Kim Jong Un's hot sister, supposedly." Now, those are the people that did, or Jinping. Trump didn't have anything to do with it. Well, that's funny. If you listen to the South Korean president, he gives Trump great credit for it. Kim Jong-un will probably come out and give him credit for it. You're not going to see that on CNN, though. CNN's talking about Kim Jong-un's sister setting up the summit. And it's just so moronic. I mean, come on. The propaganda is so palpable. CNN's a laughing stock at this point. Basically. Until a couple days ago, everything in Korea directly involved Donald Trump. He is 100% responsible for this horrible situation where there might be a nuclear war. But now he's not responsible at all. No, it's other people now are the ones that actually were involved. You know, you can compare their articles from literally a week separate in time, and you'll see exactly their stupidity and hypocrisy and how badly they've covered it up. Because they're getting called out even by people who are I'm seeing people who are self-proclaimed liberals at least giving Trump lukewarm praise for this. It's a win for him. It's a major foreign policy win. It's a key to the White House. Depending on how you construe it, it's number 6 or 7, which means he might have already clinched 2020 unless there's a major economic problem in the next couple of years. I'm serious about that. He may have already clinched 2020 depending on how the economy goes. Now, depending on whether we end up in a war, that's the other possibility. But I say it this way. Fuck the Nobel Prize, fuck the Nobel Committee. Alfred Nobel would be extremely upset at what they've devolved into because they gave Obama the Nobel Peace Prize, despite the fact that he killed, tens of thousands of people thereafter, for his campaign promises. Some people said, well, it's because he's the first black U.S. president. No, had nothing to do with that. It had to do with the fact that he campaigned on being Bush's opposite. And Bush, of course, had rankled the world and brought us closer to World War III and restarted the Cold War. That was Bush. Bush, last 2 years of office with the Georgia crisis looming with Putin, Bush helped to restart the Cold War through diplomatic complaints against Russia. That's what began restarting it. It wasn't Obama, it was Bush. Clinton helped to draw it down. It was basically Reagan through Clinton. It begins to go away, and then you get to the Bush era. It starts to get a little bit chillier. It's not terrible, but, you could see the problems creeping back in. Obama doesn't help. He certainly makes it worse, but he's not the progenitor. Obama campaigned on, I don't like limitless war. I don't like proxy war. A lot of people have died. Government surveillance is a bad thing, trust me. The U.S., we want to build more diplomacy. We want to be friends with everybody. That's what Obama campaigned on. Now, did he do any of this? No, not really. For the most part, he got along with other neoliberal world leaders, the same as, by the way, Bush did, largely. Otherwise, nothing new. Didn't end the war in Iraq, didn't end the war in Afghanistan, just turned them into silent wars based on drones, which, 3/4 of the casualties are civilians. That was in the Pentagon report that was declassified, I think, 2 years ago now. I think that was 2016 or 2015 they declassified it. They classified the report. The majority of people killed in U.S. drone strikes are not militants. They're not jihadists. They have nothing in common. They're not sympathizers of terrorism. They're normal and everyday individuals, men, women, and children that are just trying to live their lives. I don't think that a person that oversees that kind of conflict, those are acts of war. You're conducting bombing raids in another sovereign nation, sometimes without their consent. Now, you can say, well, their government is basically non-functioning. We have to prop it up. So fuck them. Okay, it's still an act of war, according to the civilians on the ground. Look, if the U.S. government were weak and the French came in and said, okay, we'll keep the peace, basically, but we're also going to start bombing things, start killing U.S. citizens, what do you think would happen? You'd have a partisan uprising against the French, invaders. That's what people would begin to call them. I'm not surprised that ISIS found so much fertile ground to recruit people in after we went over and we ousted the Libyan government, weakened that. We tried to do that in Syria. Iraq fell apart. Afghanistan fell apart. And then, who are these new guys that wear, these black robes and blow themselves up? I wonder how they possibly arose over here. This partially due to the U.S. policy. Obama came in and said, well, I want to solve this problem. And he got a Nobel Peace Prize not for any action, but for his words. For simply assuring the world community, don't worry, I'm not Bush. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. He became Bush. He basically became a more coherent Bush that knew that it was a strategically bad idea to come out onto the world stage dressed as a cowboy talking about how great killing people was. But he still killed them. So the Nobel Prize is a farce. Alfred Nobel, why did he begin working for peace in the first place? It's because you know what he invented? TNT. Oh, this will be great. We can mine more quickly. This will improve people's lives. We can blast out roads, and we can tunnel around and get ores, and everything will be better. This will be great. And then, of course, they realized that dudes that worked with TNT, because of the leaching of those nitrates, they had a lower incidence of like heart attack and stroke. Oh, it's got medicinal properties, and we can tame the frontier. It'll be great. But then they started blowing themselves up and others by using bombs. And then he said, guys, that's not what I thought that you were going to do with it. Oh, so now we need to work towards peace. He felt guilty because tens of thousands of people were dying because of an invention that he meant for civilian peaceful purposes. By the way, can you imagine, like some geneticists, they're like, oh, I'm going to make a breakthrough, cure cancer using an engineered virus. And then the Pentagon comes in, re-engineers the same code and says, oh, thanks for developing the ultimate biological superweapon for us. We can kill all of our enemies 100% now. And don't worry, we'll contain it. It'll be fine. It won't be like, a horror movie scenario with a zombie virus. Then they're like, oh, you just killed 10 million people. I was trying to cure cancer. Don't you think that person would be drunk a lot after that? Yeah, they'd probably need a lot of substances to feel better. They'd need some divine intervention. They'd certainly going to church at that point a little bit more. So, Trump, if he got a Nobel Prize, it wouldn't mean anything. The Nobel Prize doesn't mean anything anymore. At least the Peace Prize doesn't. They gave it to somebody for absolutely no reason who then proceeded to kill tens of thousands of civilians. Now, your prize means nothing. It basically be just, you get the monetary award. You know what Trump would do with that money? He'd roll it and smoke it. That would mean nothing to him. If you gave him the Nobel Prize, I wouldn't be surprised if he came before the committee, farted into the microphone, went outside, and then he fucking throws the Nobel Prize in the river. Fuck you. Because that's all it's worth. It is. It's not working towards peace. The Nobel Committee doesn't give a shit. They just give a shit about political grandstanding. So no, I actually oppose giving him the Nobel Peace Prize, because if he gets, I would respect him less. The prize means nothing. It's a farce. It's a piece of shit. It's just a piece of metal that represents that a bunch of other people are dumb enough to think that you actually work towards peace. I guess that's what it means. And Alfred Nobel would be ashamed at what it came to represent when you gave it to Obama, despite the fact that he accomplished butt fuck nothing. That's about all. Peace out.